What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another day of the LCS. Kicking it off with the LCS waiting room. Today, I'm joined by my mainstays, Emily and Raz, as well as Zhao, jumping into the hot seat. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I hope you're ready.
Let's go!
We just come off of the replay files. That's where I want to start. First of all, just so happy that we have that series back. It was one of my favorites that came out of last year's kind of new content push, getting those really in-depth looks at historical moments all throughout League of Legends history at large. And then this one here, giving us a really great kind of, I think, precursor to the season. You know, looking at 100 Thieves' first championship win and still hungry for more and to build that legacy.
I think my favorite part was when Nadeshot said he flamed Papa Smithy for like the Golden Guardians roster. He was just like, what are we doing? I don't know these guys.
And that's credit to Papa Smithy, right? For having a vision, following through on that. For 100 Thieves, I was in org, I think, in a number of ways, setting a bar that a lot of other orgs can look towards now in terms of that investment into talent, with everything from their LCS roster down to Academy, 100 Thieves Next. They were pretty big early adopters with going hard in that way.
Exactly, and I remember it through the Papa Smithy interview when the banner was revealed, just the idea of how important it is to set goals, clear goals, and in what you want to achieve in the season. It reminded me when those three core members of FBI, huhi, and Closer were on Golden Guardians, and everyone was saying 10th place team, but like hearing it from the players, they were just so innately confident, right? That they could be a championship team. But like the fact that they got there with Ssumday, who's been there waiting for so long, right? That new look in that roster is so important, especially for the legacy of the league. The fact that you can look at all the banners and you see that one red, bright red circle that's just sitting there, and the new organization and the new look.
And I love what you're talking about with what Nadeshot's saying, because it peels back the curtain a little bit and shows that, hey, people don't always agree on what is the best move to make.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of debate around building a championship roster. What does that mean? Is building a championship roster, getting a core of young players and then building around them and adding veterans when you're ready for a championship push? Is it just importing all people who have already won and hoping that they work together? There's all these different approaches, and even people within the same organization can have completely different views on what the best way to do it is. And you got to have faith in the people that you hire and put in those positions to be able to actually accomplish something like winning that championship.
I'm glad you added that extra bit, right? Because it'd be so easy to be like, I don't know these guys, and as the top dog, exactly, right?
You're done.
Vetoed the whole situation, but he said, I hired you for a reason. I hired you because you have that vision. I'm going to entrust it to you. Let's see how it goes. And hey, now there's a trophy in the trophy case. We'll see if they can put another one in there this year. That said, I kind of wanted to use that to begin to reflect on what we saw in day one yesterday, because they did come back out with a bit of a fire underneath them in their rematch there against Team Liquid, getting the victory, and I think assuaging a lot of concerns that people had with their unceremonious exit from Wacken.
And I know Raz brought this up when we talked about it on Desk, but that interview where, FBI was like, it was embarrassing to lose the way we did in lock-in, right? Like, we were expected to win, and they took that, they ran a comp that is quintessentially what this team wants to do. It's a little bit different in how they've played around bot lane this year thus far, but equally good. And there we see, this was the play of the game for sure. Yeah,
and it was fun to see because it felt like every member on that team was bought in and was really focused. Even looking at the Ornn in the top lane there for Ssumday, who was doing everything he could to keep afloat and not get dove, right? Do his job. And then you look at those team fights, and they were just players who are on the same page. FBI had an insane game on his Aphelios, and it's games like those that remind you of what he could do. So that's really fun to see, and I hope we get to see a little bit more of it.
I've seen all these tweets here and like Reddit comments for the first time. A couple that jump out to me. Who ate all the pies? First of all, great name.
Nice.
The story of 100 Thieves' demise were greatly exaggerated. I think so. I think I agree there. And then this one down here at the bottom, Damian Clark saying, love seeing the diversity and strategy and picks in the LCS tonight. Helps me to justify my questionable solo queue picks. Don't know about that second part.
You had me in the first half.
You had us in the first half.
The second part, I don't know about that, Damian. You keep that Ivermint to yourself.
Yeah, what elo are you in, Damian Clark? Tell me what time you play, and I can start dodging you in those evening hours or whatever.
But yesterday was so much fun. I mean, we had Jhin atop, we got the Zeri coming out with the pentakill. You know, we had so many different styles and strategies being brought out by teams. Some teams really heavy early game focus, some teams going full scaling like 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
It was this really broad spectrum of strategies, and we saw a variety of strategies succeeding. It wasn't like all the kind of weird swings failed. We saw a lot of them actually do very, very well.
And ultimately, we've talked about, you know, what makes the LCS a better league. And I think it's, in order to be a better league, you need to have multiple teams with different play styles all pushing each other. I actually think our strategic diversity last year, like putting the execution aside, was like pretty underrated in terms of what LCS had. And it's really cool to see that already in day one with such a massive divergence in what people are bringing out.
And it's good that we're seeing this in week 1 because you want to see the experimentation. You also want to be able to fail because like early on in your split, you want to be able to learn lessons, valuable lessons, so you can carry on to week 5, 6, later on in the season when you start to hunker down on a set few strategies, right? And so this is really great for teams to be able to grow. And so, like, a great example is we're seeing how Cloud9 succeeded with their strategy, but also Golden Guardians came in with a fairly early game focused strategy with the Qiyana. And so, like, while they had a substantial early game lead, they made mistakes that they value because now they're going to be better for it going into the, hopefully later today, but later on in the split.
And I think one of the things that's going to be so cool about the LCS this year, you know, you talked about, you know, how to make the league stronger, have different approaches and different styles on how to play the game. You get more practice against that. And as much as people have been joking about, like, oh, LCS is Rift Rivals now, we have, you know, the LPL team, the LCK team, we have the EU team, we have the NA team. It's kind of true. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the North American League is that we have players coming from all around the world and coaches now coming from all around the world that are bringing different thought processes, different approaches to the game, different, you know, visions on how to actually correctly play the game. And I think it's kind of almost like this mini international competition that is really, really cool. It can help prepare people for what they may see later on in the year.
Yeah.
And on top of that, players are willing to make errors and willing to just go for it, right? The aggressiveness that I love to see that resulted in this pentakill from Danny. Sure, Zeri is an amazing champion. It was too strong of a champion, but the fact that he started up coming at a flank, right? He had ultimate confidence in his own mechanical ability to play out this
Zoomer hands on the Zoomer champ.
Boom. And we're seeing a lot more of that this split, and that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, that was a stellar play. Love that we got a pentakill on day 1. We saw all the new champions, everything we asked for very early on. Switching gears, though, this one coming from Haraj. He says, which player do you expect to shine the most frequently, even on a losing team? A la LeBron with a 35-12-8 in a loss, right? And so, good news for you. This year, we are introducing a new award, per se, per game. Everybody at home knows that we track a player of the game on the winning team. This year, we're introducing what is called the Rivals. So, in every single game, a player on the losing team that we felt was the top performer in that matchup, the rival to the MVP on the other side, that will also get awarded. So here are the 5 rivals from yesterday's games. We have Kaiduo, Jenkins, Whippo, Pridestalker, and Revenge.
I'm so excited that we're actually tracking this. I think, you know, not only for teams that are, you know, lower towards the standings, if you're on a losing team, this is a metric by which we can see, hey, who is really performing day in, day out in losses? And also, when you're talking about, you know, MVP and all-pro discussions, it's interesting to be able to track, okay, Bjergsen, well, he had 8 player of the games. Well, he also had 6 rivals, you know, where he's performing both win and loss. And I think that's really cool, and I'm going to be excited to see how it actually turns out.
Yeah, and even pointing out, like, some of these players from yesterday, like Pridestalker is a really good example, right? I know a lot of people didn't know what to expect from him coming in, and I'm glad that we can at least highlight that performance on broadcast and be like, hey, you know what? Their strategy didn't work out, but the way that they approached this early game and what they wanted to do, the Qiyana jungle, we even saw, I believe, the Zed ban coming in.
Yes.
Like, that was really exciting to see, and I'm glad that we get to highlight that performance.
Yeah, and in the end of the day, it generates great conversation. And to the point that's being made here, like, by the end of the split, a lot of people will forget about individual performances from the very beginning. The fans will, for sure. And so being able to just take a look at that and challenge their own opinion on why they say one person is all-pro, right? Or in saying that someone didn't play well just because they were on a losing team. We need to be able to evolve from that type of conversation, and so this is great. I love to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be continuing to track that and calling them out as they come to us throughout the days, and at the end of the split, we'll have plenty of data to look at. Next up, who are the rookies to watch this season? This one coming from Ethan Lewis.
Oh.
And so I have just been informed by production that we have a special guest joining us.
Oh!
Look at this. All right, so this,
Tim.
I was
Canadian
told.
takeover.
Hello.
Wait,
We got 3 of us.
What's up,
You're
Tim?
outnumbered.
Well, what's up, Tim? This is a surprise to even me. How you doing?
He's here to sing the national anthem.
By the magic of internet television, I'm here in the LCS's living room. So.
Beautiful,
Nice.
beautiful. Well, you're joining us for, I guess, our section to talk about rookies to watch. And I guess I'll throw it to you first. When you take a look at the giant slate of rookies that we have in the LCS this year, who's at the top of your list?
Yeah, I mean, there's such a long list of rookies to be really excited about this year. And I think it, to the points that you guys have already been talking about, coming from all different parts of the world. But the number one that is, the one I'm so excited about is Jojo. I've been talking about this guy for an entire year. Yeah, I mean, he's Canadian. He's a mid laner, which is great. No, I mean, I've been saying throughout last year that this is the highest potential rookie we've seen in a very long time out of North America. I said in like August last year that this is a guy who had league MVP potential, but I didn't expect him to come in day one and be arguably the best mid laner in the league, which I think he has been so far. So he's just been blowing my expectations out of the water, and I've been like hyping him so hard for so long. But you go down the list, Berserker, super exciting. Kaido has been generating a lot of hype, and I think, hearing great things out of scrims even. Tenacity I'm really excited for. There's so many players.
I mean, Kaido specifically already picking up one of our rival honors, right? Yesterday on the Victor was phenomenal to watch. A lot of what was talked about is so spectacular with him. The mechanics, number one, those hands, and the confidence, the willingness to take fights, look for plays, even in losing situations. That was an absolute treat to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he really performed in that game. TSM were really interesting to watch, especially how they kind of like grouped around Spica. He was a standout. I know Tim also mentioned Berserker, who's someone who I watched a bit of in LCK Challengers. And, even though his team didn't perform particularly well in summer, he himself was incredibly individually skilled. So I'm very excited to see him in LCS.
And a lot of people were loving just kind of the killer mindset he had, right?
Yeah.
The flash in, everyone's highlighting that one play where he's barely surviving, against LeTigress, I believe it was. He's getting the Enchanter shields, he's kiting back. But, having that killer mindset is something that a lot of coaches will tell you can't teach. Being able to have the confidence to, see an opportunity, see a window, and immediately go for it. And I think that's something that all 3 of these, rookies and all these rookies that we've been highlighting have. And it's something that Jojo spoke about, I think, in his interview with you. Confidence is so valuable. And I think that's something that all these guys have.
Tim?
And I think to the point about Berserker, the great thing about seeing him play that way and play so aggressively yesterday is that when I did a lot of VOD review on him, I didn't always see that. I saw him. He has super awesome like sidestep mechanics, range management. You see all kinds of skill shots fizzle out like right in front of him. But it wasn't that common to see him have that aggressive, like, I'm going to jump in and blow them all up. So him doing that yesterday is like, oh, good. That's exactly what I wanted him to come out and do. No hesitation, no like timidity. He just jumped in there and said, I've got the mechanics and I'm going to use them.
Yes, and that's the constant. And I like the new idea, basically, of just like, put in players that you have faith in their mechanics and that are confident, and the coaching staff will teach everything else. Like the concepts of the game, being able to reel in is much easier than being able to kind of give them insight. I'm like, oh, this is an angle that you should flash in or take a fight. And it's nice to see. And hopefully this is the year for them to flourish.
Tim, I want to get one final word from you before we let you go. I know we're going to see you a bit later in the day as well, but when you think rookies, I want to kind of take the other side of the coin. What are some pitfalls? What are some things that you are sometimes worried about might happen to a rookie as they step onto the big stage? Things you're looking for that rookie of the year to avoid?
Yeah, it's the slumps, right? It's what happens when things start not going well. Every player is going to go through this. They're going to have a bad game. They're going to have social media turn on them. Things are not going to go that well. And how do they manage that? How well does their coaching staff manage that? Some of these rookies are going to come in and have wins right off the bat. Everybody's going to be singing their praises, jumping on the hype train. It's not going to keep going that way forever. So how well can they, adapt as the meta changes too? Something's going to happen to trip them up. and can they maintain kind of a strong mentality?
Absolutely. And I always also think, when you have players that are super confident, the other side of that coin is sometimes ego, and being able to maintain that when you're all of a sudden, on a big stage, getting a lot of attention, getting a lot of praise, you can sometimes get a big head, and I think that can negatively affect team interactions.
It's all about balance and then consistency. Yeah. Well, Tim, thank you so much for the input. We'll welcome you back onto the show a bit later after we got some more rookie performances to evaluate, but very, very much a pleasure of ours to have you along for the ride.
Woo.
Yeah, glad to be here.
All right, sweet. From here, I want to transition to a larger, more macro-oriented conversation, and this comes at the behest, to a degree, of Jat, from something that he said yesterday, right? He began that discussion of what is it going to look like when NA finally challenges for a world title. And he had said that he believes, to a degree, it's going to take a North American team becoming so good at a singular thing, right, that they kind of define or, just outpace everybody else in that thing. And I wanted to use that framing to begin to talk about what we saw out of Cloud9, LS's Cloud9 yesterday.
This tweet is so good, by
This
the way.
tweet's fantastic.
Yeah, it is amazing.
This tweet is fantastic, and it's just a good representation of kind of just the wildness of what we saw yesterday. But very seriously, I want to talk about, and what to me is impressive about LS's debut here on the LCS stage, is that this is a person who has for quite some time had a very, very specific way of thinking about the game. And I wanted more than anything for him to step onto the stage and play to that, and prove it. Either get proven right or get proven wrong. I don't care. Stick to your guns and prove it. And he did that yesterday. Now, will it continue? We'll see. But is this the kind of thing? Is Gnar, Gwen, Ivern mid, Aphelios, Soda the kind of thing that's going to win North America Worlds eventually?
I think eventually, I think when it comes to North America, yes. Because once I said earlier about just experimentation and just kind of challenging the meta, but also having a set goal, because even though Ivern mid is something you'll probably see very rarely, the idea of just scaling and team fighting, these kind of things you can teach. So I'm definitely interested. We need more of this. Just A, it's fun, so we'll take that. And then B, I think you get larger lessons early, and then once we get closer to the playoffs, I'm sure we'll zero in to just a closer identity for this team.
So for me, it depends on execution. Actually massively depends on execution, because you can take that game, slices of that early game, and you can talk about how these two comps match up to each other, what you can do in the early game to mitigate some of that scaling, to keep some of these picks down, to get your, especially in this case, kind of the Kiana-Yuumi combination ahead. But stepping aside from addressing the merits of each comp, I think any team that has to win Worlds not only has to have a very specific playstyle and kind of be at the forefront of the meta, but they also need to execute it better than any other team. And it's the second part that's actually equally, I would say almost more important, but equally important to winning a world championship.
I think execution is always going to be the most important thing in League of Legends, but I do agree that it's the way that you become the best in the world at something is by being the best at being yourself, right? Not imitating someone else. For years, teams would try to imitate T1 and now SKT. And if you're going down that route, you will only ever become a worse version, I think, of that team. Right. So you have to find your own way to play the game. Exactly. You can't be better at being LeBron than LeBron can, right? You've got to be your own
Damn it, Azale, I'm going to try.
Well, you can get pretty good during it. And that's the thing that I think trips teams up, is you can get really damn good to where you can win your own region, but you can't beat the best team in the world who's already the best at that strategy.
And I saw this talking to players. I saw it first go through LPL teams specifically more than anything, but even talking to players from Europe and North America for years as a journalist, I could hear the shift in thinking from, we need to execute this exact team comp this way, and then what it shifted into is yes, we've studied the meta. Yes, scrims actually end up being really important at a world championship because your scrim partners are also going to be helping define the mini meta that develops. But more than anything else, you're focusing on your own team, how well you're communicating, and execution.
Sweet. Now, switching gears one final time, I'm going to hand things over to Raz here, who's going to show us a little bit about how Evil Geniuses turn their own mistakes into winning moments in this edition of State Farm Neighborhood Tactics. But I love it because, Raz, to me, this is another team. Oh, get up and go over there. You get in position.
I'm interested.
All right, yeah. The reason why I'm excited we're talking about EG is because this is another team that gives me that same kind of feeling like Cloud9. They know their identity. They're all bought in to their identity as a team.
So I love the conversation of just what makes a team great and what puts them in a position to win championships. Because for Evil Geniuses, when we talk about this team, it's how they get a lead and blow it up to turn it into a win. In this situation, they make mistakes. So let's play this one through. Because in this case, really early on in this game, Danny and Vulcan made a mistake. It costed them a 2v2 fight here going up against TSM. He dies here. But what makes a great team is once you make that mistake, it's the problem solving to be able to recover from it, but not just doing that. Pause. It's to be able to turn that into a weapon. Because if I blow up the minimap here, here's the thing. TSM wants to be able to get that wave in, right? So if I'm able to show this here, TSM wants to be able to get this wave in. Problem is, he's not going to be able to let you do that. Jojo actually leans as he gets mid-priority. He has the vision to be able to say, no, if you get this wave in, if you try, I'm going to look to kill you. You guys are incredibly low. So understanding this, TSM says, God, we can't get this wave in. That's going to be a problem. They need to base. So it's going to be interesting for Evil Geniuses where they're able to protect that. So now, as you see here, even though before that play ends up happening, Zeri is even with Senna. Senna is able to get the assist from that goal, so she is ahead. They're not able to deny the experience, deny the gold. And so TSM now, with this wave being frozen here, needs to be able to secure mid-wave here for Kaido. Also, as I play this through, get control of the river. Basically, Spica is trying to help out their duo lane. And so as I speed this one up a little bit more, there is still going to be a problem for them because now with Inspired hovering in this tri-bush, and if I open up the mini map, Jojo with ulti was looking for an angle. They're actively problem solving, finding ways to now turn this stacked wave into an opportunity, and they eventually do. They're not gonna have Inspired because he's gonna be pathing up topside, but once again, if you look into the mini map, Jojo is on it. They see him on the wave, but that's completely fine because now, with this stacked wave, you need to back away. Shenyi and Tactical do a good enough job to be able to back away. Vulcan's not going to be able to, as he flashes forward, get the pick onto Tactical, but he's denied this entire wave. And so now, he's actually incredibly behind here, as you can see here. 20 minions behind. Oof. And this started with a kill, a 2v2 kill for TSM, but with proper problem solving there, a good vision of the map from Jojo. They not only recover from the play, but they turn it into a weapon. And that's what makes a team great. It's not just being able to get the early goal immediately. It's when you make a mistake, being able to find yourself back into the game.
Right, so Azael, at least what I glean from this is kind of the idea that nothing is gotten without something being given to a degree, right? But what makes a great team is recognizing that, because you did just come out of the losing end of a situation, and sometimes it can be hard to immediately identify, okay, what did they spend though to get that? And what are we positioned to now take advantage of as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really highlights the importance of the wave state. If you can't actually reset that wave, the kill went to the support, not the marksman. So Tactical is actually down gold and experience off of that play. And you also have to give credit to Jojo, because not only did he have the intelligence to make that play, but he was winning his lane and had push, which allowed him to spend his advantage to put his bot lane ahead. And I just think that is creative problem solving. You know, it's good teamwork and coordination.
Well, EG, spectacular team to watch. Very fun, always explosive. We'll see if they come up with some interesting stuff today. That's going to be a wrap on Waiting Room. It's time for us to dig into our first matchup of the day in just a moment. welcome to the LCS, and welcome, Mark, back to the analyst desk.
I was ready.
Were you?
I didn't sit down 2 seconds ago. My phone's not directly under the... No, I was ready this whole time.
Let's dive straight in because we've only got a few minutes to go before our first matchup of the day, 100 Thieves versus CLG. Let's take a look at the schedule to get a picture of all of the action ahead of us today. As I said, we kick things off with that 100 Thieves CLG matchup. TSM, Dignitas, Quantum Pay to follow. A big one smack dab in the middle with Cloud9 going up against Evil Geniuses before FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians and Immortals Progressive against Team Liquid to close out the day. Diving straight into that first matchup, though, as we only have about 4 minutes before they dive into Champions Select, 100 Thieves feels like maybe they can take a breath after the recovery that they had yesterday. At least I would say so, but I'm curious where everyone else lands on that.
It felt like, I think it was in the interview, Closer said that it was a wake-up call what happened in lock-in tournament. So that was clear, I think, in this game that they realized, hey, we want to come back, and they did exactly that.
I think they also still do feel the weight of expectations a bit, especially since, they are, as it's been established, they are a returning roster. They decided to keep their entire championship roster. And the expectation is, when you do that, another championship.
Right.
Yeah, and they do it through their bot lane. 100 Thieves has always just had the best bot lane in North America, and FBI and huhi. And in the last game, FBI was able to get player of the game off of just insane Aphelios play. Now, the whole team was damn good. So, you got to feel happy as you can see them already going for the next matchup, just because Abbedagge was able to get that sweep on the end of that one, the scoop.
The scoopity whoop.
You got the scoop into the flash ultimate for Aphelios there, so the whole team is online.
The whole team is online. They're a team that should be feared, and rightfully so, for what they did last split, but also what they showed us just yesterday. CLG, the team charged with trying to take them down today. With that formidable bot side team, though, that's, I think, where I have some questions around how CLG is going to ultimately deal with it.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to see what they do. They had to deal with the roaming Janna in their first game, which feels pretty bad. I was excited to see Poome and Luger take the stage, and then it's like, they got a Janna in their lane 24/7. That was a little disappointing, but I think it is still the key matchup for this particular game, how they're going to deal with FBI huhi, because they want to establish themselves as the up-and-coming bot lane that everyone has to fear.
Yeah, and so I'm interested to see how they're able to do that. I mean, they're, as you said, under constant threat of just a 4v5 dive at all time, but we know what Luger and Poome have to offer. They've done it consistently in Academy. They did it when they were in lock-in. They're a formidable team with Contractz constantly looming over them, so it's going to be a battle in the bot lane.
Following the biggest slugfest battle of the day yesterday, right? I mean, they have already been run through the ringer and having to try and deal with the Smite Janna top. They almost did it, Emily. But I feel like if you've been forged in the fires of the Smite Janna top, then you're probably feeling pretty good coming into today.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a rough game to deal with. They did actually, off of a bunch of FlyQuest mistakes, almost come back. And if I'm looking at this game, I'm just like, yes, we didn't win. I do think, again, especially Jenkins, as we're looking at here, they did recognize, we are going to have this Graves who is just massively ahead in gold, right? So the way that you can try to mitigate a thing like Smite Janna top is just be like, we're going to put Graves in the side lane, and he's just going to chew through turrets. And CLG did recognize that. I definitely think we have seen consistently through CLG some recognition of how they do need to respond, how they do need to play out their team compositions. It's just shoring up a lot of their execution.
Yeah, and so, as you kind of already mentioned, how Jenkins was able to give him a win condition. I mean, sure, naturally it's going to be the case when he's dealing in a 1v0 lane for the majority of the game, but the fact that they were able to take inhib down, constantly force that threat. He also, in a 1v3 scenario, got a kill on towards Janna. He was making the game livable for his team, so maybe we see a little bit more of that, so they have a different angle for that squad.
And as long as they don't have that Janna Smite top, I'm actually excited to see Contractz have a game where maybe he feels like he can have some agency in it. But beyond that, we already talked about Luger as a top performer for CLG. Mark, I'm, of course, having my eyes on both him and Closer in a matchup. It's a meeting of the minds, two guys who are longtime friends out of the Turkish region.
It was really funny. I was getting my makeup done before the show, and I had Luger in the room, and then Closer also came in. I got to see them, shoot the shit a little bit. It was just funny seeing, like, you know, two people who are obviously get along very well, but are going to be going up against each other. That kind of like in between trash talking, but being friends. It's just really cool to be back in studio and get to see all these players interacting in person.
Yeah, I mean, and also just constantly tweets between both of them.
Yeah.
When Luger was in Academy killing it, Closer's the one calling him Kral, which is king in Turkish, and just like bigging him up, and the same goes the other way. There we go. Throw him up, right? So now they're going up against each other in the LCS, which seems like a dream for both of these players.
Yeah, it was really funny going through a lot of these tweets to come in because Closer doesn't tweet all that much except to tweet at like Broken Blade and like
hell yeah.
And it is nice to see, like, even going back all the way through last year to show how supportive they've been of each other.
I mean, even Luger on Twitter you should just follow because he tweeted out a picture of FBI napping earlier today before the game. He's like, dude, are you gonna wake up for this?
I love it. Mutual respect, but also some jibs and some jabs between the players. They're about ready to dive into Champion Select, so we're gonna hand it off to our casters to get into game one of the day.
Let's shift gears here and talk a little bit about the LCS.
We can all agree that LCS is a joke, right?
I look back at the golden days of the LCS,
and it simply isn't the same league it used to be.
You know what? There just hasn't been much to be excited about lately.
Yeah, excellent point. The real contenders, right?
That's why I hold the throne. You're out of my league, so many the need. Raising the flag, you better retreat. Call me a god, call me a king. You better believe. This is my kingdom. This is my domain. You can't take it from me. The greatest you've ever seen. You'll remember my name. I rise like the red sun. I won't so damn good at this game. And FBI burns them down. This is my kingdom. This is my domain. It's an assassinate the government. The greatest you've ever seen. You'll remember my name. This is my kingdom.
Welcome to game one of the LCS, day 2, and I will say from personal experience, FBI wears those shades in real life walking around indoors. Got to talk to him in closer leading to the match. It's like, yeah, we're gonna shit on him. It'll look like a scrim. So I'm excited.
You know why he wears those? Because Luger actually tweeted a picture of him sleeping in the lounge that we have over here in the LCS. So maybe it has something to do with dimming the lights.
Yeah,
so he can get these quick naps in
in
right before the game. So he'll be supercharged for this game.
Wow.
Jhin is banned already. Looks like CLG don't have to worry about a repeat from yesterday.
Yeah, Zeri gonna be gone there as well. So you know, she got her one and only game. It looked pretty good, and now off the table already. Caitlyn gone as well. Karma highly prized.
Finally, this is how I think the ban should be. A couple weeks ago, I tweeted about Zeri and Janna should be your bans in solo queue. The third one I had on there on the list, though, is Qiyana. Qiyana for mid lane, much more solo queue, probably won't show up here, although Palafox does play a decent amount of assassins, but Twisted Fate has been let through. This is one of the champions that have previously had a super high percentage of bans, Twisted Fate along with LeBlanc. And as we started talking about Palafox and his assassin play, that very well could be an angle to go for. Try and put kill pressure on it. See if CLG want to do a combination, though, on red side. Diana Yasuo is also available, and Yasuo win wall is quite nice for playing against Twisted Fate.
It is. We'll see if they pick it on 2 or 3. I actually like the TF pickup here for 100 Thieves. It's going to be his first pick of the champion on the year. I was talking with Huhi earlier today. He was watching the games really closely. He said it felt like Abbedagge was frustrated with how slow the game was going. Like, he's doing these flash engages, but like there's no kills. Like, they're winning, but nothing's going on. And so now he's got the tools to say, we're starting it off, right? I'm going to the bot lane, we're finding the pick off, and it's going to give him a lot more agency in starting these fights out and getting things rolling, so could feel comfortable there as Jinx is locked in for CLG.
So I like how CLG did not expend their second early ban here, or second early pick on the Yasuo quite yet. As you said, they can just pick it on 3 before the bans come in if they really want this combination, which generally you do if you're early picking Diana. And they instead early picked up Luger's Jinx. This is something we highlighted super heavily yesterday. Didn't come to fruition because the Caitlyn was left unbanned. But this champion has been so successful for this CLG bottom lane, and they are the powerhouse of this lineup. Will say that becomes more difficult when you're facing into a Twisted Fate. And that's why I really like, 100 Thieves. They put immediate priority on trying to get a mid lane champion that can affect that bottom lane. So Abba can get some early plays off the ground.
Gwen locked in. You mentioned Diana Yasuo as a possibility. Could look good in a Twisted Fate. And as it's going to be locked in, Diana Yasuo in for CLG.
And that's because it is a great, team fighting combo, but it's also a great matchup into Twisted Fate. Because of the win wall, Yasuo can trade very effectively. So let's take a look at the progression here, because top lane, you're already most probably dealing with Ssumday's Gwen. He has always been the one on this team to play it. It's definitely a super comfortable champion for him, and they're saving closer's jungle pick. Yes, it can be flexed into jungle, but I think that's very unlikely with 100 Thieves.
Alrighty, second round of bans come across. Not fully mirrored roles here, so yeah, expecting to see more jungle bans at a CLG, top lane bans to cover. If they need anything to help out the Gwen, keep in mind, Gwen is a flexible pick, of course. We saw the Cloud9 look with the mid-Ivern, not going to be happening here with TF, but I really do like Gwen jungle a lot if you're willing to put a lot of resources into her to get her fed.
Yeah, and if you don't care about the early playmaking, which a Twisted Fate team, it actually has Twisted Fate giving the ability to set up plays for the Gwen, and you can try and play off of pressure, but I would definitely like to see it combined with something more, a little bit more playmaking there. Let's take a look though. The Jarvan also comes through. That's one of those ones where gold card into Jarvan combo, like, it's just so guaranteed. The only kind of variance that you have with Jarvan early game is if you miss your combo, then you don't have any of the early impact. But even with the Thresh banned away from Poome, the common pairing there with Jinx, he can go with the offensive one. These are the ones that I know you personally prefer. At the last second, away from the Rakan, no kill combo for locking up with the Flame Jumpers, and it will be CLG. So much investment in team fight here. Diana Yasuo combo for mid jungle, plus Jinx Lulu here. When Diana and Yasuo get level 6, that'll be their time to shine. So I like 100 Thieves kind of pushing that timeline up and saying, yes, we do want a playmaking jungler with our Twisted Fate. Pre-6, they can get stun combinations, try and pick somebody off as well if they can get some early wave control. But Palafox, I do have confidence in his Yasuo.
I do too. I think it's going to be a really good look here. CLG played a really tight game against FlyQuest. 100 Thieves, of course, got their win over Team Liquid, which was an impressive road for them as well. The question is it really going to be an FBI game? Jhin is not typically your big carry. Sett's going to be locked in at support. That's going to look good.
I always love when huhi locks in Sett specifically, because through all of the iterations of support Sett, huhi has been the very best LCS player at making those plays. This is one of the champions where people first started to recognize and give accolades to the 100 Thieves bottom lane as a duo, because huhi shown so prolifically on this champion. He plays it very aggressively with the Hex Flash, constant plays coming out from the bottom side of the map, and playing that into Jinx Lulu. With having a Twisted Fate and Jhin on your team, there is no surprise here. 100 Thieves bottom lane want to retain their crown as best in the LCS. They're looking very, very aggressive here with this lineup. Definitely consider Abbedagge trying to get some openings from mid lane so that he can get his teleports down to the bottom side, which leads me to believe Luger may pick up a cleanse just for those scenarios. You've got a Jhin in lane, snares can be cleansed, Twisted Fate gold cards can be cleansed. Keep those safe for later. And Jenkins, this one, his Kennen one-trick days coming back to fruition here for CLG. It does mean you have double AP in a Diana Yasuo combination. Sometimes people really like to have the solo AP for Diana to get that giant burst damage on the combination here, but Jenkins is so at home on Kennen. We really want to see if he can actually get that early wave control versus Gwen.
super early should look pretty decent, of course. Gwen gonna have a hard time forcing any kills onto him. And then, hey, team fight power, obviously good. Hoping for the full offensive build out of the Kennen. Looking at, you know, the early Rocket Belt, Shadow Flame second, Death Cap third, and just, you know, one shot the team could look good.
And I do like it into the Gwen because you want to get close and you'll get inside of the Gwen W to be able to get your combination off, get the stun off. Probably will be more towards some team plays though.
Yeah.
Especially as the game goes on, don't want to 1v1 her.
But probably survives the tower dive, and that's good enough if all you're trying to do is get better team fighting. So, on to the Rift we go for game 1 of the day. 100 Thieves, currently 100% win rate. CLG sadly off with a loss, though I do still consider them a promising team here in the LCS, but against stiff competition. Reigning LCS champions, currently 1-0.
And I think the story with this CLG, because, you know, in the offseason, very clearly CLG, the organization blew up everything associated with last year.
Yep. All staff,
management,
all
coaching
do.
staff, players, just everything that even touched last year, they burned it to the ground. So they want no memory of that. And they want this to be a completely fresh, new era of CLG. And everyone always mentions the potential with this team, which is kind of a reoccurring theme of the organization. But it is very clearly still potential with this because there are a decent amount of errors that come out, especially with some of the aggressive plays. That also is what's giving people hope. You know, an aggressive CLG team with a lot of room to grow. The question is, when will that room to grow actually turn into wins on stage?
Right, because you still have to grow up to the point where you are getting wins. You can't just wait 2 years to put a W, you know, down on the record. So see if that one comes through. Shout out Abbedagge. Shout out Tanner Damonte himself. Saw him in the studio today, wearing his CLG jersey, of course.
Big fan. Yeah,
great guy. Apollo's here as well. So always fun to see players who aren't, you know, competing right now but are still around. Always a big fan of those two specifically. And right now, bot lane pressure appears to be for now with the Jhin. Poome has gone for Spell Thieves, is going for the more aggressive option, thinks they will be able to harass huhi in this lane.
And huhi tries to position aggressively here up through the brush, allowing FBI the push on the wave. You can see them trying to deal with it here, but it will be the early level 2 for 100 Thieves as they push forward. And it is top side start for both junglers. Contractz actually skipped Krug. So Diana very commonly does full clears, but you can tell Contractz wants to be down around to protect bottom side once again. This was also true in game number 1 for CLG, trying to spend some early resources in this position.
Jenkins won that by a lot, by the way. He was like, I'm ready for you to jump and EQ me someday, and says, I've got Lightning Rush already on. There's the W auto. Yeah, thanks very much. That's 400 damage down. Guess I won the lane already. As Palafox in a fight with Abbedagge holds the wind wall, and looks like he will not quite block CS. Kennen will drop.
I think this is the most interesting matchup of the game, is the Yasuo into Twisted Fate. As we mentioned, the wind wall is one of the best tools for Yasuo in the early stages. You want to get control of the minion wave. Palafox uses it aggressively for those trades with the E, and then gets it pushing, but it requires jungle attention. And so in the earlier stages, before your level 6s, the Diana-Yasuo combination is a lot about controlling the mid wave and the vision. Post 6, obviously, it's about combining the ultimates for the kill, but it looks like they will be able to finish the crab before bottom lane pressure actually leaks up the river. Yeah. So the timing window's working out quite nicely for the CLG duo thus far. Now you can have the Diana get back into the jungle, finish up on the Krugs, go for the first reset, and you kind of bridge the early gap here. Top lane already being pushed into should definitely mean closer gets the top side Scuttle Crab. And actually, believe he saw he did not see the ward get placed down, so is not going to correctly Scryer's Bloom over it.
Recalls on a ward. Palafox might get his third Q up and maybe can stop the recall. Not going to happen. Now doesn't have it charged up. So, safely back to the base. Jungler's getting pretty soon. That's farm. Although Diana does get to grab her full Krugs on the way out. So, Contractz well farming here. Diana, one of the junglers who scales pretty well throughout the game. So can be worth putting resources into. Certainly, in a lot of cases, is the bigger threat than the Yasuo in these team comps.
And because of the route, red Raptors down to blue side, and traversing all the way back for the reverse clear there after the crab, he can finish off second clear before basing for the first time, and getting decently close to his breakpoints. Actually, he did Gromp first down there, so it's going to be the early pickup for Blasting Wand. This is a pretty good, early pickup for Diana because it does help out on your clear with the pure AP rather than the Alternator, which has a decent amount of health on it and isn't going to help you clear faster to your level 6 breakpoint.
Yeah, and might have free boots there, so not a lot of things you can buy to go for, like boots, amp tome or something, which, also has its own level of value. So off we go, clearing bot to top, and then no camps up for the Diana. Zhao gonna go back through his side of the map. Looks like waiting for the Raptors to come back up with the Krugs waiting in the wing. Pretty nice scenario from the Diana perspective. We're just looking at jungle matchup here. For a Zhao to be slightly down in CS and not having gotten any effective ganks off, no summoners blown, no, skirmishes over the crab where they were punished. But it's really going to be telling the next few minutes because that's when mid laners are going to get their level 6s, and we're going to have possibility for the Twisted Fate play towards bottom side that we've been hyping up for 100 Thieves, and the reverse of the Diana Yasuo combination. They'd love to skirmish the 2v2 around mid lane at that point. Yes, indeed. Zat takes a 14 CS cast in wave, going to be collected in front of the turret, but you got to point out the fact that you've got still about a 10 CS lead for FBI in the bottom lane.
Yeah, 100 Thieves bottom lane have been pushing quite nicely. Let's see, there's 6 here, including the Kennen. Doesn't get the Kennen. Yeah. So that one burns a little. And bottom lane, again, this is where 100 Thieves' eyes are. It is cleanse taken as we thought it would be from champion select here, so definitely the safety is there, but it still means you're going to get pushed in, you're going to give up the dragon.
Got to point out the phase rush on huhi as well, which means probably if he goes for a flash stun combo, triggers phase rush, it gets behind the target and ults him back into the squad. Flash not needed on the back half of that one. So he can be a big playmaker, will be a bit squishy, but that's okay. He's going for the big plays. We know huhi is great at this champion. Closer gonna go ahead, convert his smite, grab the first dragon of the game. Thank you for the extra stats. Armor, MR on the board.
Yeah, gonna be an interesting setup here with 100 Thieves to see how they can actually leverage this bottom lane advantage, because Luger and Poome have been playing so safe, saving both summoner spells, not giving the opening here for Abbedagge. It would have to be a really big setup play from FBI and huhi to give him an opening, since they're so far back and he's got double summoners. So should continue pretty smoothly from the point of view of CLG.
So the other team has a lot of river vision. You can see how far back CLG is actually playing. They don't think they have a hope in the 2-on-2. I don't know if it's, obviously Abbedagge got an L7, but he's under his tower right now, so it's not TF right away, but if they're afraid of closer maybe being there, if they're afraid of the 2-on-2 being just too good, it's going to be CLG dropping CS in this bottom lane for a while.
Yeah, and it looks like it's at the mid dive combination.
Good flash, gets away from the Diana and a flashback to safety. I think afraid of being gold carded in front of the tower, but no one was there yet for an answer. Flash for flash, end of the day. Does now mean that the Abbedagge could try to ult to a fight. It'd be hard to answer for Contractz. We'll see if it happens.
Meanwhile, having vision of the Diana, Closer moves over. Nice move across this wall into the pit to start up on this Rift Trail. He knows Diana just flashed and used ultimate, so there's no way CLG want to fight anymore. Objective obtained. Good response there from 100 Thieves, taking advantage of the resources that were used by CLG. And basically, Rift Trail afforded there by Abbedagge on the flash avoidance of the kill.
Quick fingers, even quicker thinking. Well done, Abbedagge, because obviously that, if you don't flash in that quarter-second cast animation, you are just dead. So knew what the play was going to be, was ready for it, and you got to give him credit, because that was going to be first blood, that was going to be first herald, and all that avoided by good hands.
Yeah, I mean, especially on, Tournament Realm, 0 ping, if you don't flash the Diana ultimate, then you start to get flamed. So well done there from Abbedagge. He's still got it. And 100 Thieves with the Rift Herald now. And Twisted Fate, they've definitely got a lot of cards to play something. It's just that CLG have been playing so defensively and farming up towards the bottom half. They're not giving an opening, so it comes down to 100 Thieves forcing. And this is a topic for this team. You could track the success of 100 Thieves by how well their bottom lane dives have gone throughout the history of this organization, actually. So if they're able to pull off this Twisted Fate play plus Rift Herald play, then it will bode quite well for this game.
In the meantime, Luger's actually feeling comfortable down there now that the recruits are done. Feels like he can fight a bit more and get some damage down, but keeps the 20 CS dead for it. Want to point out that Jenkins is winning this lane. I mean, this man, I want to be clear, is setting records in CS difference in top lane. Obviously, game 1 was against the Janna, but this one, he's up against Ssumday's Gwen, and he's still got a 23.
This is one of those ones where we got to come up with a new name for the record that he set. You know, the Flame Horizon was the 100 CS over your lane opponent. Yeah. But what about the
300?
Exactly. What about the Jenkins? The Jenkins Horizon. He's actually. We should really give credit to the Kennen play though, because I know. You know, especially throughout the growth of this player, so many Kennen games. Here's the fight on mid, though.
Zhao took the knock up into the front of Santa, but she's been stunned. Yasuo combo still comes through. Is it going to be enough? Yes, they get one on the board. Rocket coming by as well. Dunk backwards. Huhi going to bring him actually towards safety. Cannot quite find that kill. However, the next shot is Poome. The ult's going to land. The double kill through for Closer. Flashing back to safety now as well. 100 Thieves walk away 2 for 1.
Oh, that Lulu walked through the wrong side of town. Everybody makes their way up to mid lane. And it is 100 Thieves coming out 2-1 with the extra kill. Jhin doesn't have to walk as far to be able to have a very big impact up there. And here's a look at, you could tell how much CLG wanted to force the Diana combo because they know Abba has no flash. So Contractz, as soon as he lands the Q, they want to charge through, but Closer gets a big chunk of damage on him. So he's so low by the time they get the combo off that even though they get the kill here, it's definitely going to be a 1-for-1. And then Poome comes right by the Zhao. You are literally a Lulu Enchanter support walking by a Jhin. That is so erroneous. Illegal, in fact, if Cagel has anything to say about it, and Closer takes him to jail.
All right, well, that is a +1 for 100 Thieves. They had a gold lead before this fight. They still got one afterwards. 900 gold earned for the 2 kills they got. 600 for CLG from First Blood. So not terribly different in gold, but obviously the moral victory going to feel pretty good on that one. As thankfully for Palafox, he did get the 400 gold First Blood himself, so he's at least off to the races, going toward that shield though.
Yep, they got their kill on the Twisted Fate. It did cost them a lot though, because both kills onto Closer, the magical footwear came in plus fully upgraded Gore Drinker. So CLG trying to take advantage of the reset here and Jhin showing in mid lane. They do so and split the dragons now, so the stacking won't be such an early issue.
And I gotta say, I really like that Jinx is in this comp for the Diana Yasuo combo, right? Group them together, leave them in the air for a solid full second. That's often enough time for the Jinx rocket to land. We actually saw in the last clip, for example, she shot it as soon as Xana's hitting R, that rocket is flying out of the gun. Now, he died too fast. If he didn't die so fast, Jinx would have been there and part of the kill. We got to fight in the top side right now, though. As Closer left alone, 1v3, ult comes across, Gordinger as well. Diana ulti for a bit more, and they're going to find that kill. A valiant fight back and nearly trades out Contractz, but still, top Herald crashes, 3 plates off the tower.
Yeah, your bravery doesn't matter, though, if you die in the end and you give over the bounty. You know, he had both of the early kills. Small bounty at that, but it goes into the hands of Palafox, the Yasuo. This is the worst place for 100 Thieves to give more money over to the CLG combination. If you thought the Diana plus Yasuo plus Jinx ultimate didn't have enough damage to kill before, it's gonna get much worse.
And I mentioned, Kobe, earlier on, sometimes Diana is the actual carry of Diana Yasuo. Yasuo's there to lock them in place so that the ult actually lands from Diana, so you can't flash out of the damage. Not the case anymore, right? This probably is going to be Yasuo dealing a lot of the damage on the team. What's interesting is for solo queue players, for generic play, Yasuo tends to fall off over time because it's hard to set up in team fights and get those big ultis. In this case, he's not going to have that problem. He's always going to have Contractz set up for him.
Now we put the magnifying glass on Palafox and we track, can he get his autos and Qs in before in the small timing window that you have, and then every little bit of extra damage meaning so much in that combo. Shield Bow funded, thank you so much, by the extra donation there on the top side.
800. Yeah, Zerkers and a shield bow. Gonna feel good. Does not go Merc Trids even though he's against TF. Going for maximal damage as the Everfrost and a stopwatch are in for Abbedagge. Head over the rafters, going to 100 Thieves.
Contractz waiting on that cooldown. They've got the Palafox GoFundMe ready.
Tornado ready. Huhi, not gonna immune much of it. Puts the shield out, decent damage. Barely sticks it out and lives. That's a big shield, he walks away.
You know, this time, the roam up here from Poome provides plenty of safety, not walking past any of the melee carries, and it is just going to be a pressure positive play for CLG, pushing them out once again. Contractz looking for the Diana ultimate there to finish off the extra kill. They didn't use it, so they still can go with this invade.
So I'm gonna get his recall stopped. Board goes down, a little bit of damage, not quite blocked as partial reset, but yeah, they still want to play for this one as Contractz goes in yet again. 900 health is the mark for the smite, claims it, and a blast plant to safety is gonna be no problem at all. Uh-oh. All right, we got TF coming in. Chopper's there. Gold card gets away from the root and gets away from the stun. And now a flash to save the Contractz. Gets back over the wall, but is it going to be enough? Palafox now stunned, now left alone. Lulu will not going to be enough, and they're going to find that kill. Trades one back, though, as we got Ssumday in the mix, but low on health. The dunk in the back line. Huhi sets it up for the squad. FBI knocks out another kill, and now it's time for Poome to fall yet again. Zhao chops him down for the second time this game, and they're on for a bit more. Closer is angry, and Closer going to take down his countrymate. That's going to be a huge fight. 5 kills on the board for Closer. The Bud Light Ace for 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves win out because of the coordination. The blast cone actually ended up mattering, Phreak. Sometimes the positioning there on the blast cone and someone going off not into the pit and causing you to be separated doesn't matter, but this time it does. Just a little bit the angle. Palafox kept walking, goes down to the bottom side, and so then CLG are split. Poome is so far away from Luger, even though they get the cleanse into Flame Chompers. Abbedagge still has flash to get away, and CLG are completely split. Deep teleport from Jenkins. He tries to follow up on the damage here from Palafox, but look at the top side of the map. In the river, they murder Contractz 3-on-1, and then Poome walks over to try and get a slow onto Ssumday, not giving any credence to Closer once again, who just annihilates him, flashing over the wall to set up the other 2 kills here. Jhin bullets coming through, and Closer gets paid once again. Phreak, this has been the success story for so many 100 Thieves games. 5-1 now on the Xin.
Yeah, he is gigantic. Lift up the Viego that took away the Diana. Goes with Zhao, still on the hard carry performance. Well done to the 100 Thieves jungler. Question is, does CLG find a way to turn it around? Because it's a 3,000 gold deficit. Third dragon spawning momentarily. CLG wanted to get the word control. They've got every ulti available. Is it going to be enough? Rocket belt up, level 11 Kennen. He can be a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the teleport on bottom side would have been good if CLG had been able to group for their combination and actually play off it. But really, really good tempo usage there of the Twisted Fate ultimate to split CLG and force the sectioning off of the Jenkins and Palafox issue here on the bottom side. If they get to coordinate here, CLG can still have a much better looking, team fight, especially if they're able to wait for the flash for Jenkins to come back up. Proto belts are one thing, but having the flash really brings it all together there with Jhin and Twisted Fate being low mobility carries in the back line. 100 Thieves definitely giant upper hand here, and CLG have to say we're praying for a better team fight. We're praying for a late setup here where we can group and get a nice wombo combo to get back into the game.
Second Herald, though. Second Dragon already claimed by 100 Thieves. They have owned the map as the gold touches to 4,000. They're going to find another turret to kill before too long.
It looks like, Phreak, the story for 100 Thieves, forgetting about lock-in, getting knocked out early there is just an aberration. They're picking up right where they left off last year. Looks like they are well on their way to destroying this map. Top side easily picked up after the Rift Herald. You can just continue pushing. Huhi already invading into the jungle to get their deeper vision to make sure you can get full value out of Rift Herald number 2. This thing can gain you so much money. They're going to pop it mid here. That mid charge will take out the turret. And since they already have control of topside with the Twisted Fate, they can force.
He buys a bit of space. Chopper's down to buy some more time. He's on the way out, but he's getting slowed up by Gwen. Another auto's going to land. W comes in, and TF arrives for the rest of it. That is another kill picked off, and now Ssumday's in with the mix as Contractz gets the pull in. Decent damage, not gonna matter. Closer finds yet another kill, a Rampage. He is huge on his 6th kill.
Woo! 100 Thieves not going to stop here. Take what's not given to you. They're just going to take everything off of CLG. Pre-20 minutes, secondary charge will get off as well. Yep. And they can easily reset. So much money now in the pockets of the 100 Thieves players. 5.3 gold advantage.
Can we run that tweet back? Oh, hold on, we got to replay first. You do it first.
Okay. I mean, it's not super complicated.
Yeah.
As we said, you've got Rift Herald mid one-shotting the turret, and you have Twisted Fate. So Closer knows all he has to do is run his face into anyone he sees. And guess what? For the third time in this game, he sees Poome, the best target. He hits the W, he charges forward, Abba pops the Twisted Fate ultimate, he joins from the split push on top side. 100 Thieves know how to leverage this giant advantage when you've got the global here and a super fed jungler. Anywhere Jhin goes has to be respected by CLG. They can no longer play this map so recklessly. They have to group up as 5. You literally have to tell your team, we need to group as 5 on Vision. It's our only hope is to get a massive wombo play.
Closer's better. Yeah,
Is this the second time that we've seen another Closer is better tweet? I feel like I just saw that.
We might have. I wanted to bring up the tweet from the very beginning where someone said, so sub 25 minutes? Because we're almost on pace for that one. We're like, this Baron could be a Baron winning push if it happens. So, you know, I want that person to get their vindication for calling it pregame.
Yeah.
Pregame Smack Talk is best Smack Talk. If you call the timer, good on you.
Yeah, is it still pregame if we're like halfway through and they're getting demolished? Sub 25, there you go,
See?
Phreak.
That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm bringing back up. Thank you very much. Yeah, Matt, you're almost right.
Let's also queue up another Closer is better tweet for the next kill that he gets.
Yes, because he will continue to probably be better. 6-1 and 3, 100% KP. Zhao, pretty strong. Turns out 100 Thieves also pretty good jungle team.
Yeah, it's very difficult to deal with because when a champion like this gets fed, that has the ultimate for an easy opening of immunity, Gwen plus Jhin front lines don't actually even have to soak damage.
Contractz. Rocket belts to safety. That feels bad.
As we said, Closer can just run his face into anyone. You've got a Twisted Fate backing you up, and you're so fed that you're always going to get cooldowns out of the opponent team. Diana Flash is definitely a critical one because if everything for CLG relies on their giant wombo combo, heroic comeback play, now you have one less tool to pull that play off with.
And the waves just die. Twisted Fate, 191 CS, but Palafox is getting his farm. He's on 2 items, so the IE power spike is in. 100% crit chance, but the problem is 100 Thieves are playing aggressively enough that it can't be CLG who aggress. If you're diving in on Diana, keep in mind, if you have gold locked and you right click, she can't E-ult you. You will be stunned before the ult animation gets to start, so you don't get to combo that if TS ready.
I mean, League of Legends becomes one of those spy games now. It's try and use Fog of War, group up as 5, sneak on through. Where's Solid Snake box? We need a little bit of help here to try and get one of these AoE plays off. Uh-oh, looks like 100 Thieves saw them heading up there.
Exclamation point. Hang on, something's wrong. We're in alert mode. They're on the hunt. Are they gonna find him? Hiding in the brush. 100 Thieves putting the wards down. Know what's going on here. When they have the rations to lick their wounds and heal back up as the dragon's alive, and guess what? 100 Thieves gonna claim it. Now CLG at least going for something else on the map. I'm surprised they're looking for this fight, but they're gonna try to get a 5-on-5. Is it going to work? Is this the one where Contractz gets in, starts the fight, rooted in place, half HP, in goes Zhao, and that's a Zhonya's burned out. Contractz cannot get in on these fights, and Ssumday waiting in the wings for the flank to set it all up in the end. Low health for Closer, does get the objective, and now we get the dunk in for huhi. TF over the wall as well. In comes Kennen, big damage, and Jenkins gets 1 kill. Looking for trading 1 back as Ssumday fights in the back line. 2nd kill for Ssumday, but Abbedagge gonna lose his life. No, a great flash to safety, and that means Palafox is left alone. Almost CLG got what they wanted, but it ends up 3 for 1.
And a triple kill for the Gwen, 2-item Gwen. Ssumday once again living that split push dream. He goes right to bottom side. Look at that map. He knows they can easily push every single lane, and they're even looking for Luger.
Yeah, that's a real tough place to navigate. Cannot get away. Red buff handed over. Thank you very much. 100 Thieves absolutely crushing CLG.
Yeah, let's just open up the thesaurus here, look for some more alternative words to use and repeat, because 100 Thieves with purple will be marching on those inhibitor turrets here. Poome, can he make the hero play? It's one Lulu versus the world.
I have seen support queues steal Barons before. There's always a chance.
It's not looking good, Phreak.
Channel, you're in
not looking
water.
good.
Can you make it happen? He's on the wrong side of the map. He's nowhere near the Baron, and he's not gonna get the steal. Closer gets yet another objective onto his side. 3 dragons to 1. Baron claimed now as well. It won't be sub 25, but it's about to be a dub for 100 Thieves.
Certainly is. Now, we can start evaluating, too, the topic we brought up in the beginning of this game as far as the progression for this CLG team. Because I actually really like the strategy that they went with, reacting, giving up the Twisted Fate pick early, looking for the combos. Let's go over this fight first, though. Because they chunk out Contractz so early, they get the Zhonya's and the Lulu ultimate. 2 big defensive, not going to be available for the re-engage. They then kind of give up this dragon, looking for the Jinx ultimate steal on the explosion there. Don't get it, and now they're under attack again.
Abbedagge wants to get in range for the gold card, gets the first stun. The root's going to fall up for Jhin every time, and another root into a dunk across the wall, trying to set it up, and huhi just executes one, and Jin's going to execute another. Palafox tries his hardest, decent damage, finds 1 kill, wants another, he's stunned, and they're here for the reinforcement. Zhonya saves the life of Abbedagge, a valiant attempt, but another 3-for-1 favoring 100 Thieves.
And they still have almost 2 minutes worth of this Baron buff. So when you get 2 people picked off, trading for 1, you're gonna get extra rewards as well. Closer Ssumday. The Bash brothers, rich as usual, continuing to inflate that economy for 100 Thieves as well.
25-30, 2 minutes till Ocean Soul. Still a minute and a half of this Baron buff. You have to imagine they probably crack at least an inhibitor. Oh, you missed the cannon. Abbedagge, no longer MVP. Sorry.
Ooh, I like the double stopwatch picked up here for Ssumday as well.
Yeah,
Gwen already is so insanely difficult for this CLG squad to try and navigate around. And Ssumday's approaching that level 16 with double immunities, triple immunities, actually, if you count the W as well. Then, honestly, I feel like he's worth probably 3 members of the opponent team. I would take that bet.
Wow. Ssumday versus any 3 on CLG? I just take Diana, Yasuo, Kennen, and it kills the entire squad at once.
I take it. He's Zonya's. He's Zonya's.
I mean, he'll immune some damage, unless, you combo them together in the CC layers forever.
I want to see it. How do I get an all chat? Yo, meet me at Baron Pit. I wish we could actually leverage this in games like this where you're getting smashed so hard. It's like the losing team actually has an incentive to actually accept some of these, and you're allowed to wager something.
Okay.
Hey, if we win the bet, then you have to give us a couple of these gold bounties. Both outer turrets are the prize if you win one of the challenges.
What does 100 Thieves get when they win the 1v3?
They get to live a little, Phreak. Live on the edge.
That's not a great deal. At some point, it's gonna bite you.
Yeah, maybe they need a more incentive. You get an advantage for the next matchup.
Yeah, oh gosh. Here, we won't ban 2 champions, in week 7 we meet again.
All right.
I mean, that's just positive for 100 Thieves. Yeah, I'd take that every time.
Back to sneaky game mode here for CLG.
Alrighty.
Maybe you can try and leech a level 16
try.
somewhere, looking for the pick.
Good's well-timed stun. He needed to windwall that one, but he still got the Diana combo, but the Zhonya's comes across. He was still stunned and couldn't ulti across. Diana finds one. Down goes Twisted Fate. Are we going to find more is the question. Rooted in place. Now Poome going to block some shots. Dunk comes across, and a solo kill comes through for Ssumday. FBI finds another. And yet again, 3 kills to 1 as CLG runs for their lives. Poome and Jenkins trying to live as long as they can. Gwen heading back to the base to knock some stuff down. FBI Gale Force auto Q. Thank you for kill number 4. And Jenkins just running for his life. Lightning rushing away, trying to stay alive. There's a tower in his stead, and that means Jenkins will fall. It will be yet another ace. Another kill goes to FBI. And guess what? It's time for the inhibitors to fall.
It's time for the inhibitors to fall. It's time for the Ocean Soul to be acquired by 100 Thieves as well. All this being said, with the advantage that 100 Thieves have, CLG have no choice but to try and force on an early opening for a play, right? You're hoping, okay, we've got everybody grouped. Maybe we can pick them off. Maybe 100 Thieves have, someone straggling behind, and you can try and snowball back in. Those are the types of risks, even though it has a very low chance of you winning and actually performing in that team fight. You have to actually take the chance to have any hope of coming back into the game. So much better than just waiting at your turrets and slowly dying, because 100 Thieves are just going to march on in if you don't try and attack them.
Good luck next time. Your comp is always trying to do one-shots, so you can try to kill him before the regen really kicks in and does much for you. Death's Dance now in for Palafox, so sustains some of the physical damage a little bit better. It is double AD. pretty reasonable there and can delay Zeth. Of course, we are still on 12.2, by the way. It is the really OP Sterix. Death Stance does not yet delay magic damage. That's going to be next week, which I'm excited for because I feel like we will see a pretty big meta shift over the course of a couple of weeks once those changes hit, because you don't have the same kind of front line from fighters with Core Drinker Sterix.
Yeah, my initial thoughts was I was also excited because I love trying stuff like that in solo queue.
Yeah.
Luger
into root, into Q, finally gets away with the Gale Force. Question is there another pick afterwards? Good sidestep by Poome. Gold card not quite in range.
It's interesting, yeah, because I think Death Stance, the new version, being working on magic damage as well, is going to be OP for solo queue, especially for junglers with the dream of hard carrying.
Yeah.
But for pro, that stuff always has such a lower chance of working out. So maybe it is more of a top laner type of carry issue, especially with the possibilities of top laners now getting so much gold.
Right. On an island, getting farm, right?
Yeah.
And then showing up for the team fights. Rocket going to be blocked. Well done by huhi. And this Baron isn't even dealing damage back. Goodbye. Yes, deleted. Contractz, and the duration of the gold card stun goes from full to dead. Just the two of them knock him down.
Sometimes you gotta admire, the willingness here of the CLG players, knowing that they're gonna die, walking head first into it, try and make the play, gets locked up, and there's another one.
Looks like Wind Wall was down, has nothing to block, and that's another kill picked up, 2-0. Baron on the board already, and it's time to end the game. 31 minutes on the map, and CLG running away, killing some wards. Where's TF going? To the bottom side. Hello, Jenkins gets out of range. Got on just in case. Gwen shows up now as well. Good damage. I mean, he forces the zone as he sidesteps the ulti. Nearly has the kill, but it's not going to happen. A valiant effort for the CLG top lane. 100 Thieves are just too much for them. Back into the fountain they go. Luger tries to get some damage across, but the Nexus will fall. 30 minutes in the game. 100 Thieves 2-0, taking down CLG. A perfect weekend to start the 2022 season.
Certainly that. Can they pull off the tower dive, though? Get one more? No! They kill the Nexus. GG, 100 Thieves. Top of the LCS once again.
Hold on.
They always play the first game of the day.
I know.
So they have been first place for more time than any other team.
That's true, and if I recall correctly, actually no, because the Dignitas series, they got 2-0'd, right? So
yeah.
In that one, they were the first game, I think, of that day, and they dropped it. So
what does it mean?
I was trying to see if there was a pattern, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, because, gosh, were quarterfinals, were they back-to-back? Like, were they stacked up BO3s? If it was the first BO3 or second BO3, that matters.
Hey, I like the celebration. This gives me,
I mean, they're carrying Abbedagge. It's the gameplay is the same off the rip as it is on. Good job. Nice flash, by the way, at level 6. That was good. You lived through Diana. Good job. He might have heard me. I don't know.
He did. He waved his hand. I saw him.
All right, that's great.
He turned back around.
It was a good flash. Like, that was a good moment because, that is a moment where, like, look, pro players have missed that before, right? Like, pro players miss Leona with flash, right? Like, that is a mistake that we can see from the top level. And if that goes differently, right? Yeah. First blood on Yasuo. First Herald comes out of the kill, right? That game looks very different for the next 5 minutes off of a quarter-second mechanical play, and that could have looked very different if it snowballed.
And I will also say, the Diana is split into two, so the damage is more delayed, but the knockback, the knock-up is instant. So you have to do it as you see the Diana charging in. Well done.
And then Yasuo combos, and you're guaranteed to take both sets of damage, and it's just too late, right? If you flash out, you're at 20 HP, they flash follow, and everything happens. So
what did we learn today?
We learned Abbedagge has good hands. Right? Like, I do not want to, I don't think I can overstate like how important that play was. I think the game looks very different if he's a little bit slower on that play. He looks good aggressive, right? He was ulting off cooldown, and the FBI Jhin had so much damage because he was always in range to like land some 2500 range W to follow up. And like that looked really, really good. They are still incredibly dominant 2-on-2. Like this game wasn't about the bot lane dives. They won a heads up. Yeah, at some point Closer showed, at some point TF showed, but the 2-on-2 already won for 100 Thieves, so they're really impressive still.
Also, be very careful if you're in the current meta and you're playing these Enchanter supports when you're roaming mid. You are a very big target because you're so squishy, so you have to give proper safety, positioning, distance, any threats.
Yeah. Talk with Osha, make sure you're the right place away from the threats. Wear a hard hat at all times. 100 Thieves continue their dominance here in spring, and now it's time to join LeTigress and Crawl Closer for our Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you, Phreak. I welcome Crawl Closer to the stage after that victory against CLG. First things first, how heavy is Abbedagge?
Actually, that we trolled. We should have carried him a bit better, but he's pretty heavy, so it was hard to carry.
You didn't drop him,
Yeah.
so you should feel good about
Yeah,
that.
it's fine.
I know Phreak had mentioned running into you and FBI in the makeup room and both of you saying that you were going to stomp CLG like it was a scrim. How did this compare to what your expectations were?
Yeah, I think just as expected. I think actually in scrims we were not this clean maybe, so it was good. I think we only had like one mistake where I died top. I think that was like the main mistake of this game. Other than that, we played pretty well.
Yeah, you did earn player of the game for this one, so feeling pretty good about that?
Yeah, not bad.
I know that you were talking to Luger a lot prior to this game as well. For the fans that don't know, can you tell me a bit about the history between you two?
Oh yeah, I mean, he was in our academy team and he's my friend from Turkey. So it's always good to play against your friend and beat him. So you can like just shit talk him after the game, basically. So it feels pretty good.
Is it fun for 100 Thieves overall, knowing that Luger and Poome as well, the entirety of that bot lane came from 100 Thieves just last year?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty close with our academy team last year. So it was fun to play against them.
A lot of fun being had by you and the rest of the team here at the start of Spring Split. So you feeling pretty invigorated, getting a couple dubs going into the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, definitely after the lock-in performance, we had to wake up. Like our practice was much better than before, and we were feeling ready. And we beat Team Liquid yesterday, so I mean, feels good so far. But we have a long way to go. But right now, I feel like we are just on a different level than other teams. As long as we don't troll, we will probably win.
A little trolling ain't too bad, though, once in a
not bad.
while. Closer, thank you so much for stopping by for the interview, and congrats on all the fire that you'll bring into the stage right at the start.
Thank you.
More on this game. Let's head on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much, LeTigress. 100 Thieves, another victory for them to close out the weekend in 2-0 fashion. Looking clean this time around. Closer picking up player of the game for himself, as was revealed in the interview. Taking a look at compositions, I'd say to some degree fairly stock standard for the 100 Thieves side of things. And so more so, I wanted to take a look at CLG, what they came to the table with and how they chose to execute, particularly in the early game.
So for CLG's players, I actually really like this composition. Obviously, we have Luger's Jinx, we have the Contractz Palafox bringing out the Diana Yasuo. Lulu is insane with Jinx and just insane kind of in general in a teamfight composition like this. And then since they picked the Gwen blind, which is fine, I'm not criticizing it, but we had talked previously about Jenkins. Kennen he was known as a Kennen one-trick previously, but also last year, he was one of the people who workshopped a lot of counters to Gwen when everyone thought she was OP, and I know Kennen was one of them, so GP was another. So I really like this composition for CLG for these Sett players specifically.
Yeah, and I mean, I completely agree on the CLG side. For the 100 Thieves side, they got a pretty good set of comfort, specifically huhi's Sett play.
Yeah.
He's always
glad to see that back.
It's good to see it back.
Yeah. And so it worked really well for him. The team fights were, I'm trying my hardest to not say it, set up properly. It was good.
I walk right into those every time there's a player named Impact. I'm gonna say Impact.
I need a more creative wording.
Blue,
Yes, it worked perfectly for them.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna roll through a couple of clips here, kind of taking the CLG perspective, because as Emily mentioned, we like the composition as per the the champions per player in this situation. And Mark, again here, good looks. However, not getting the advantages they were looking for.
Yeah, this is the right idea. You want to dive here at 6. Abbedagge has a nice flash away, and the gold lock-in means that, okay, I have to flash out now. The tornado timed out. And then here it is. 100 Thieves know they have to play around mid lane to protect this flashless TF, and they're playing around it, and CLG still try to brute force through multiple members of 100 Thieves, despite the fact that, they know that this is coming.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is what we're talking about when we're like, okay, right idea for CLG, but then just execution and like individual mistakes. Here's another fight again that we're going to see that the TF is able to come in and separate them, right? So CLG have a good plan of like, we want to execute this wombo combo, but it ends up being really, really difficult.
Yeah, coordination, and especially when it comes to taking the blast cone, incredibly important because they split themselves up.
Yep.
And so you're right, when the TF port comes through, then 100 Thieves actually just focus on just rallying the rest of them so they can get a clean up fight. leave their top laner Ssumday alone with 2 members that also get them killed because they're like, okay, we can come back to them later. They're in a bad spot. We can get the rest of them that are running away.
And like, I mean, we can blame the blast cone all day, but Contractz also jumped the wall back over with his ability, blew his ultimate, then had to flash back out. If he just followed the Lulu with the rest of the team, then you actually still have your combo available. Jenkins is TPing in from behind. You can actually try and wombo them, but because they're so discoordinated once the plan breaks down a little bit, you know, people are just blowing their ults all over the place. You can't possibly win that scrappy fight.
Yeah, and then on the 100 Thieves side, good on them to recognize where they needed to separate, where they need to chase down. This is, especially with Jhin, a great composition where you can just pick people off from range if you're able to separate them.
Yeah, and even just going back to those first 2 replays, like giving props to Abbedagge that was just holding his gold card multiple times because he knows he's the target. He knew from draft he's the target, and so he had a strategy set in mind to deal with it.
And Closer just shutting everything down. He was always where he needed to be to make sure none of those plays ever worked out.
Stylistic differences between compositions means both teams have to do everything in their power to create the situation that advantages their style. And in this case, that came out better for 100 Thieves, but we like the look out of CLG. Coming up next is Dignitas Quantum Pay taking on TSM. But as we go, in case you missed it, over the past week, LeTigress and I participated in a 72-hour LCS product showcase, including information on how to get your hands on a 2022 edition Player of the Week statue. Check it out. Now, it is hour 63 of our LCS product showcase, and I, for one, at this point, I think my veins are just filled with carbonated sugar and caffeine.
Hey, it just makes it that much easier to recognize the wonderful color in our new limited edition player statues.
Now, that is right, Gabby. These are truly one of a kind.
You know what I love, though, Dash? I love someone that's fashionable. And the nice thing about these new edition of the player statues in 2022 is you can say goodbye to the old colors. Black, gray, nobody needs them. Say hello to that smoking onyx of the new TSM jersey that Speaker's rocking.
Wow. So give it to me, Gabby. Help me out. Help me understand. How much can I expect one of these to run me? 5K, 6K, somewhere in that ballpark?
Here's the kicker. We here love to give the best deals to the fans out there. So these are not 5,000. These are not 6,000. These are absolutely free.
Okay, all right. Tell me, what's the catch? I'm ready. Lay it on me.
All you need to do is tweet at MasterCard Nexus with your LCS Player of the Week prediction using hashtag LCSPOTW sweepstakes for a chance to win one of these fabulous bad boys. 15 lucky viewers will win each week, and every week has a new player to win. Get your tweets in now because they sell out soon, and if they don't, we can't go home.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?